Hello everyone, it's Mr. Rops.
And Mr. Heilman.
And today you get introduced to your lovely, miraculous GDC, Graphic Display Calculator, the TI-84 Plus. And I've got a fancy one because it's color actually, but it does not need to be that. As long as you got the TI-84, you are ready to go.
And that silver edition is to match your hair color, or?
Well, actually my hair color is non-existent at this point.
Okay.
So, but silver, because I guess it's special, but who knows?
Okay, we'll find out.
All right, so we are going to solve using our GDC. And there's a graph here, and so implied in that is we are going to graph this, which we've been doing with Desmos, but now Desmos, unfortunately, you can't use on your tests.
Right.
And so we have to use a different technology that's a little bit more cumbersome than Desmos, but it is a good technology nonetheless. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go to this, and I'll actually make my screen bigger so you can see what my screen looks like. We are going to go to y equals. And then you can see all the graphs and the equations that I can plug in.
So you could put in potentially 9 different equations in there in the screen.
Indeed. And I think if you toggle down, there's like 10 or 11.
More?
There's even more.
Okay.
Okay. So I know the first part of the equation is, it says 3m plus 4 over 2. Well, my calculator does not know how to do m's. It knows how to do x's. So in my calculator, I'm really going to put 3x plus 4 over 2. And this one I'm going to make y1, our left-hand side of the equation. And this one we're going to make y2.
Okay.
So moving over to our calculator, in order to get the fraction, there's a crazy command, which is alpha. And then now anything that's green is what I'm going to hit. So I'm going to hit F1 here, which is y equals. And numerator over denominator is my fraction button, and I hit enter. And now I have a fraction.
Okay.
Okay. Now you should be writing steps down or filling in blanks as we go, and doing this with your calculator yourself. Of all the videos we're doing, you are pausing this video all the time.
If you just watch this straight through, you will fall asleep.
Yes. So you have to be active with your calculator in your hand. All right. So now I'm just going to go 3. This symbol here is x. That's the shortcut for x. Oh, that was plus.
So there's an X down here, though, right? Like a letter X or something?
This one, or letter X down in green.
Yeah. Is that the same thing? Can I use that?
You can use this one, but then you got to go alpha X down here.
But it does work too. Okay, so but this one you just hit once, right? And
just hit once and
it
takes care of it. And then you go plus 4, and I'm going to either toggle to the right or down over 2. And so now I have a fraction. To move to y2, I just toggle down. And the other is 15. Enter that in.
Not too bad.
All right. And so now I have my 2 equations, and then I want to graph them. So I'm going to use this button here that says graph. Click. And I see the first line in blue. And I see, the second line. There's no second line.
But we put it in.
We did. And if you haven't gotten this far, you should pause and get this far. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust our window setting. But if we look here on the question, there's hints given to us. If we notice here and here and here and here, our x goes from -10 to 30. And the window's given to us. And so if I go to my window setting, hit window, and I'll make this a bit smaller so I can see what I'm looking at. My minimum is -10. Inconveniently, it's -10. My maximum is 30. My scale, well, each of these big or thick gray lines is by 5, and so I'm going to make my scale 5 so it's easier to follow, compare. My y minimum is -10. My y maximum is 20. And so that -10 stays, and I'll make my maximum 20. And again, I'll go by 5s on my scale. My scale is 5. The other information I'm going to ignore.
All right.
How are we doing so far?
It looks all right. It makes some intuitive sense. There's a minimum and a maximum. Minimum is the lowest one, the most negative number. In this case, maximum's highest. And the same thing again for y's. All right, I get it.
Okay. So then all I do is as I hit graph. And there's the blue line that was there from the beginning. And here comes the second equation. And if you look at the scale here, this is the same picture as here.
Okay, so we couldn't see it before basically because our window was too small, or it was like focused in too closely to the original graph.
Exactly. And so we had to readjust it. So there's the red line, and the blue line looks roughly like that. Okay. And so we know from Desmos we're looking for the point of intersection.
Mm-hmm.
And the calculator will do it for it, but it needs a lot more guidance than Desmos does. Desmos just says, oh, give it to me. The calculator needs a lot of guidance. In order to do it, I'm going to go to this menu here called Calculate, which is above Trace. I'm going to go Second Trace. And this is one of your most important menus that we actually use. By the time you're done grade 9, 1 to 5, you will know how to use. But this time we're going to do number 5. So I can I could toggle to number 5, or I can just hit 5. And if I read the screen at this point, it's asking me a question. Right here it says, what's the first curve? Well, above, this was the first equation that I'm using that I want to find the intersection with. So I like that, so I'm going to hit enter. Yes, that is the first curve. Now it's asking me a second question. The second curve, well, the cursor's moved down to the red graph, which is my second equation I put in. So again, I hit enter.
And this seems very obvious now, but I suppose if there were even more curves on there, then this question would be very important because you want an intersection between two lines.
Right.
It's so obvious there's only two lines here, but the calculator always asks you this question anyways.
Exactly. Now the final question it asks you is a guess. And if you use your scale appropriately, it looks to be about 10. And that's close enough. I could even say 5. As long as you're in the ballpark, it's close enough. So I'm just going to type in 10 and hit enter. And then the answer is 8.66666 and comma 15. And so this point here is, and this one here is 8.67. And this is to 3 significant figures, comma 15. And so m equals 8.67. Here is your solution. And to tidy it up even nicer, I'm going to label this as y equals 15 and label this as y is equal to 3m plus 4 over 2. And there's my graphical solution using my GDC. At this point, you should... Oh, I'll go back to... Before I tell you this, to get out of the screen, I just go second quit. And then I'm back to my regular screen that I can do arithmetic with. Okay. So at this point, you should pause this video and do it all over again. Because you have to keep it fresh in your head or all this information will just go away. And when you come to class, you'll go, I don't know how to do this.
You already just put all this time in to watch this video, and it'd be a waste just to not do that.
Right. That second time doing it, the synapses are connecting and you're learning things. So go for it.
Have fun.